Hello, and welcome to Trust Your Sacred Feminine Flow. I'm your host, Joni Advent Maher, mystic, spiritual midwife, and visionary leadership guide. It's my great pleasure to share inspiring and intimate conversations and emerging wisdom gathered from our collective feminine journey of awakening. My guests are revolutionary women at the cutting edge of both personal and global transformation. I invite you to join us in claiming our sovereignty, changing the world, and flourishing no matter what. Welcome to Trust Your Sacred Feminine Flow. I'm your host, Joni Advent Maher, spiritual midwife and transformational guide. Today I want to talk to you about a reminder that I have been receiving lately from the universe and from life. It's a reminder to remember the call of the wild that lives within you and me. And boy, I could really use that these days. I am in it deep in my life. I don't know what it's like in your world, but there is some heavy duty stuff going on that is really calling me to be at the top of my game spiritually, emotionally, psychologically. And sometimes it can be heavy, and sometimes it can be serious and feel intense. And whether you are going through an intense passage in your own life, or you're just getting caught up in the day-to-day, we all find ourselves getting disconnected from that instinctual, wild, outrageous, free essence that lives within us, that pure vitality of life that we had as little girls or we had as young women when we would just do something outrageous with our friends and laugh and laugh and laugh. I don't know if you can remember any times from your past when you just felt that exhilaration and abandon of just being so filled with life and so engaged with life. And I can remember a couple of times. One, when I was a very little girl, and myself and my cousins and our friends would get together and we would put music on and we would dance and sing and play and do these little shows and creations in the basement and just get as big and bold as we could, just so full of life and filled with life. And one time we were at a party, a family party, and we were just getting, as they say, carried away in the basement. And this woman walked by us, and I have no idea what I was even doing, but she gave me this look and she just said, "I'm so glad you're not my child." And that still sticks with me to this day, because apparently I was not being very proper, and I probably was not being very good. And the thing is while I was very well trained to be a good girl, I always have had this secret rebel wild girl that has been a part of my life and that has lived in the background, sometimes secretly and furtively. And when I inhabit her, it feels so good, so good. And it gives me medicine and sustenance to to face anything and to get through anything. So today I want to welcome you to remember your wild woman and to think back to when is the last time you have indulged her or let her take the lead in your life. So take a moment and just think, like, when was the last time I really let myself just get wild? And maybe you're really good at that. And maybe it just was earlier today or over the weekend or last month or what have you. Or maybe it's been a part of yourself that you have been disconnected from for a very long time. Perhaps you're in a cycle in your life where things are serious or intense, or you are carrying a big mantle of responsibility, and that has gotten the better of you to the extent that you've disconnected from that lightness of being and that freedom that comes with living the call of the wild. So today's episode is really a loving reminder for you to welcome her back. I want you to close your eyes for a moment if you can, and just imagine off in the distance this figure beginning to walk towards you. She might be swaggering, she might be dancing, she might be, I don't know, doing some martial arts moves. What does your wild woman look like as she gets closer, as she approaches? And what part of your life is she connected to? Is she that young teenage self, that 20-something, that body 40-year-old? What does your wild woman look like? And how does she want to express through you today? Maybe she wants you to turn on some of your old favorite music from days gone by to just shake your booty and get wild. Maybe she wants you to hop in the car and drive along the coast. Maybe she wants to take you out into nature or out into the wild, to be one with the rainstorm, or to stand under the moonlight, or to howl into the night. So deep breath. And where does your wild woman live in your body? Where does she inhabit? Is she deep down in your pelvis? Is she in your hips that want to shake, or your shoulders that want to shimmy? Or in your wild, loving heart? Where is your wild woman? And how can you inhabit her today? I want to share a few of my favorite ways and experiences that I have had just to help prompt your memory in case you need it. So one of my absolute favorite ways to go wild and to listen to the call of the wild is through music and through dance. I still love to put on, whether it's oldies or modern day pop music or music that my daughter finds, and just shake it out with wild abandon and let it go. In fact, one of the things that I love to do with a circle of women is to dance and be free. One of the other things that absolutely lights me up and activates my wild woman is being in the wild, being out in nature in parts of the world that are still untouched. My happy place, Ocracoke Island off the coast of North Carolina, has 13 miles of national seashore that is a national park. And so there's no buildings and it's just wild and wide open. Every year I go there with my family and friends and immerse myself in the wild, and I can see the transformation that I go through every single trip. And I remember a time when my dear friend Elizabeth and I were sitting on the beach, and it was close to sunset, and way, way, way down the beach, I don't know, quarter of a mile or so, was this large group, this large party of people, and they had these massive speakers, and they were blaring music. They were blaring the song Personal Jesus, and they were dancing, and Elizabeth and I got up and we danced out in the wind and the wild with the breeze blowing through our hair, and it was the best. It was like one of those peak experiences. And birthdays I've celebrated there, skinny dipping off the coast and becoming one with life. It's like that wild woman part of us is a slice of life. It's our instinctual self that is the embodiment of life, wanting to explore and be in life fully. And when we get caught up in our day-to-day or in the mundane or taking things too seriously, we forget that and we forget her. So today's invitation is to bring her back, to listen to the call of the wild, to pause and tune in and see, how would your wild woman like to be present in your day today? How would she like to show up while you're preparing dinner? How would she like to show up when you're taking care of those things at work? How is she here to inform and teach you? Because, my dear, your wild woman is an essential part of sacred feminine flow, because not all feminine flow is peaceful and easy. Some of it is riding the rapids. Some of it is that stream that's pouring off the mountain as the snow melts with a wild torrent, and that is meant to be experienced full on. And if you notice that your mind has some ideas about this, or your inner critic has some ideas about the properness or the appropriateness of this, just notice that. Just notice the ways that it might want to tamp down on you living into that fullness of your wild self. Most of us have not been conditioned to be free in those ways and expressive in those ways and bring our wild woman to the table. But she is an important aspect of you and of us that we all need these days. We are living in some Wild West times in humanity, as people are waking up, as the old forms are falling away, and we're walking through the dust storms of illusion. We need that clarity, and we need our full vitality that she brings to the table. So again, my dear, this is your invitation. This is your reminder. Find your wild woman. Hear her call. Say yes to allowing her to take the lead in your life or in your day today. I can assure you I will be doing that myself. So, my dear, it's time to bring this to a close. I want to remind you that I have a sanctuary day coming up later this month. I would love to have you join me. You can go to the website and check that out, revolutionaryheart.com. I guarantee you we will be dancing and we will be moving and reconnecting with our wild woman, among other things. So until next time, my beloved, always, always, always trust what your heart knows. Thanks for listening to Trust Your Sacred Feminine Flow. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend and be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. And visit theradianceequation.com to receive your copy of The Radiance Equation, a visionary's guide to coming out of hiding, owning your wisdom, and creating your greatest impact.